You've thought it, I've thought it. Is it all worth it? Is it all worth it? The chasing, the begging, the asking for help, the wondering what will happen tomorrow and the next day, just because you want someone to believe that you are worth a paycheck. Is it worth it? These last 3 months have been incredible. I've got so much to tell you, so let's get into it. Hi, I'm Dr. PK. Welcome to my channel, Molo Molo Tech Studios. And here we talk about just raw tech stories of everyday tech professionals and how we can help each other improve. So just to give a bit of recap, the last few months, if you haven't seen it, just go on to my channel and the last few videos will talk about I was fired and then ... and just have a look at just how incredible, just mind-boggling things can just turn out. And I want to talk about today just the whole chain of it. Is it all worth it? I thought about it this morning when I woke up. I thought, man, how can it be that every single country, right, has a labor law? There's a company law and there's a labor law. The labor law is specifically there to protect the rights of the employees. The labor law is specifically there to give guidance to companies of what to look out for. And yet, without fail, companies always try to figure out how they can squeeze that labor law out. Granted, they have the right. But today, as I speak to you, we have a company by the name of Lilium who is holding its employees to ransom by not allowing them to be released in the proper manner. Why are they doing that? I don't know. But I don't think that's the right question. For me, the right question is it all worth it? Really? Is it all worth it? Is it worth it to search and beg and go left and right to just go for interviews to get to another place where you are hopefully getting to the dinner's table and being given a month-to-month paycheck? You may say, yeah, but I'm a professional. I can pick and choose. If you could, then potentially you would not have been in a situation in the first place where you're wondering what's next. So for me, it's so important for me to kind of ask that question for myself. I mean, of course, don't get me wrong, not everybody is the same. Not everybody has that level of self-awareness. Not everybody has that level of willingness to and the courage to even ask the question, is it worth the trouble? Because what is the alternative to that question if the answer is no? But it's worth talking about it. So what do I mean? Let's just break it down, right? When you're an employee, you have to remember that there's someone who's crunching the numbers. I know this now because I've had a couple of companies. I'm having a consultancy company that I'm putting up. And please, if you have consultancy work that an aerospace engineer with some high level of EQ can do in strategic thinking, bring it my way. But one thing I've realized over the years as you go through your development of your startups and so forth, the one thing that you always want to worry about, at least from an investment and attractiveness perspective, is your bottom line. So even if you are a startup, the one thing that you look out for is how much can I gain out of the employees, who is a very high cost in your cost structure. How much can I get out of them? There is a financial guy who sits in every single company, and his first thought about when he looks at the numbers and this cost structure is how cheap can I make this? So fundamentally, whether you like to hear it or not, you and I, when we come to an employee, are a line item that is being deemed cheap enough to make this work. Cheap enough to attract investors. Cheap enough for someone to believe in this business. Or else the numbers don't work. So whether you like it or not, you and I have to face the realization that when you are on the payroll of another company, as much as you are valuable and needed, you are also financially made to feel or be cheap. Now, most times when a company works well, when a company does the right thing, when a company tries not to squeeze every ounce and loophole out of a labor law of that country, you're made to feel wanted, you're made to feel valued, you're made to feel protected, and you're made to feel secure. That is not the case. That is not the case for the last 3 months for so many employees who right now are begging their landlords for them to not be kicked out of their houses in Germany. Not because Germany does not provide the ability to get assistance for apartments and assistance for food. It's because a company has chosen to not make it clear of whether we are no longer employed or we are still employed. As we speak today, Lilium is yet to give an announcement on the termination of its employees. Crazy. I'm still an employee of Lilium. Yet I haven't worked for them and I haven't been paid by them in 3 months. Yet, if I were to go today to any place, I can say I still have a contract. Of course, they'll ask me for a payslip, and that would be the end of that conversation. But fundamentally, I am an employee. How can that be? And the issue with this is when you go to places like unemployment agency, they're aware. But if you go to disability grants or they call it job center here to get some assistance, they want to know. They want to know very simply. We don't have anything to do with work. We want to know: are you unemployed? Where is your termination contract? Give it to us. We don't want to hear a clear explanation of this and this happened and insolvency. No, we want to know: are you unemployed, so we can treat you like the next guy who's got a disability and the next guy who's got sickness and the next and the next and the next. But we are in no man's land. We are all in no man's land because a company has chosen to not only still be within the law, but to treat their employees as cheap labor. So the question arises, when you have, this is the raw aspect of the law. This is as raw as it gets. This is what's allowed. If it wasn't allowed, there will be lawyers all over Lilium as we speak. Each and every single individual person will be going after them. But it's essentially within the law. You can claim insolvency, and also at the same time you can claim that you want to get out of it, and at the same time you can claim that you need all the employees to come back, and at the same time you can just not pay them. That's the situation. So I have a couple of points, just very few points. Number one is, you and I got to think different. At least those who can, and those who want to take the courage to work on themselves, to learn new skills, think different. What are the different skills? You and I are valuable. There's no question, but you and I are deemed cheap by specific people. So how can you leverage your value in different ways? Right now, what I'm doing, I'm trying out consultancy. Molo Molo Tech Studios is officially, or not officially, we haven't registered yet in Germany. But we are getting there, right? We are getting to a point where we will be registering, at least me individually, be registered as a self-employed person from a tax perspective. Scary, but that's what I'm planning and I'm trying to do. That's my goal. Of course, I'll still be out there looking for work, but that's my primary goal. Scary. But because I'm trying to answer the question for myself, was it worth it? And for me, it's no. It's no. That cannot be it. That now I'm going from this situation to another situation where, excuse the pun, but there is pocket companies, popping out everywhere with officers and saying, hey, come in. My first thought is, man, am I that cheap that I just run? Am I that cheap that I just run? Yeah, you pay me a lot, but what does it say about me and my value and what I want and what I would like to get to? What do I want? Man, what am I on a begging call for every company that comes and goes? I get it. It's the rat race. Do what you gotta do. But the question is, if you really feel a sense of just wanting to be a bit more in control of where you want to go and what you want to do, is it really worth it? So that's point number one. Point number two is, if you have a family, you have to ask this question. If you have a child, a baby, maybe already going to school, specifically already going to primary school, you have to ask this question, because I've been there. I've been that person. I've been that person where my parents took me from Italy and Cameroon, South Africa. I've been that person. I know what it feels like to be uprooted. And it's not worth it. I don't have very good memories of every single time we were uprooted. I have memories of fear and not being wanted and feeling like an outsider and feeling like, I can't speak the language. I don't know what to do. And my son went through it when he came. Of course, it was desperate measure, but do I want to do it again for the sake of chasing to sit on the table so I can eat with the master, i.e. a salary slip? So if you have a family and you want stability, you have to think about it. Of course you do. You have to. Now, I'm not saying while you're thinking about it, you should just stop. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying if you can see what's happening around the world, yeah? If you can see what's happening all over the world with Trump and Canada and the EU, we are at economic war. So what makes you think that every single company that comes to you really has a clear plan for the future, given that we are all affected by globalization and economic tariffs? What makes you think that? Now you can say that's not my problem, but that's exactly the problem, is that if you keep quiet and you turn the blind eye, somebody's going to turn your life around for you. So if you have a family, or if you want some level of control and some level of wanting to just get back onto you doing you do you, as they say, then you got to diversify. You've got to think outside the box. You got to think about outside your core skill set, and you got to think about, what do I bring? I know what I bring. Very simply, I'm very good at speaking to people. Yeah, I'm very good at connecting. It's not a flex. It's just something that I've realized I'm good at, and I enjoy it. I really enjoy speaking to people. I enjoy solving other people's problems. I enjoy fighting for other people. The people at different companies will attest to that. So I'm leveraging those skills by being a consultant and thinking of other people's problems, and being a technical coach thinking about other people's problems. And let's see how it goes. So my message is very simple. When situations like this happen, you have to think differently. You have to ask the tough question. This is the time. There will never be a time. The very thing that employment does is the boiling frog effect. It allows you to just simmer in and settle in. You're getting your paycheck. Keep quiet. It's above your pay grade. I have said it before. Many people have said it in the previous company. And you keep quiet, but yet the big decisions affect you. And you turn around, I've done it, and you blame the top guy. But the top guy can turn around and say, but you're not the top guy. You decided to keep quiet and make me the decision maker. It's a choice. It's a choice. Right now, when I'm doing all this self-employment stuff, man, it is hard. Everything's on me, and it's stressful, and it's uncertain, but it's also full of faith and believing that at least I'm doing my part of trying to do what I believe is right, and I know God will take care of the rest. So my suggestion, my advice is this is that if you've been unemployed before, you've been laid off, fired, let go, redundant, whatever the case may be, it's time to think differently. The universe is telling you, think differently. You are valuable enough to think differently and to leverage those values, those valuables in different ways to impact so many people. That's my message. I'm Dr. PK. Thanks again for watching another episode. I'll see you soon. Ciao.